This is London Weekend Television, part of the ITV network.
From ITN headquarters, the early evening news with John Suchet.
Riots across America, gun law on the streets of Los Angeles. President Bush has, in the last few hours, acted to halt the biggest domestic crisis of his presidency. He's ordered 5,000 federal troops and armed law officers into the devastated city of Los Angeles. 31 people are now dead, more than 1,200 are injured.
For the second day, Los Angeles woke up to the aftermath of a night of arson and anarchy. As fires spread to the heart of Hollywood itself, local residents helped hard-pressed fire crews tackle dozens of blazes. Families made homeless by the riots found sanctuary in shelters. But for some, the victims of overnight gun battles, there was nothing anyone could do. At dusk last night, this was Hollywood burning. A nightmare which has haunted America since the race riots of the 1960s. But what began as a ghetto riot became an uprising against authority. For 2 days, they've looted at will. Police left chasing in vain, as stores were stripped, shelves emptied, businesses laid bare. They did make some arrests, but too often they arrived too late.
They were looting my store. When I got there, they tells me the insurance is gonna pay. It's nothing personal. We don't mean it, and I'm sorry.
And I have to look at this and then watch these people teach their children to go into stores and take things and steal. I'm ashamed of my own people.
The culprits weren't only blacks. Whites and those of Asian and Hispanic origin joined in a free-for-all of LA lawlessness. In one ethnic quarter, Korean shop owners armed themselves to protect their business. Confrontation came quickly, live on television.
This is live right now. This is live.
We don't see this very often. Okay, this is unprecedented. We haven't seen firing like this in the streets of Los Angeles.
Linda Moore,
amid the mayhem, the spark which set it off was almost forgotten. The shock acquittal of the 4 white policemen prosecuted for the videotaped beating of black motorist Rodney King. In response to the rioting, thousands of National Guardsmen, state troops armed with M16 assault rifles, have been drafted into Los Angeles, which is still under a state of emergency and a dusk-to-dawn curfew. But the beleaguered city mayor has acknowledged that to regain control, he might need President Bush's help with the federal army.
We want to send a message to this community that we are totally committed to provide the resources to ensure that the hoodlums out there, the gangsters, are not going to be able to terrorize this city.
But black leader Jesse Jackson, arriving in Los Angeles, said the president should tackle the injustice which sparked the riots.
What we now need is the Justice Department to pursue the prosecution of those police officers who in fact violated the civil rights of Rodney King. But more than that, we need a plan to begin to rebuild urban America and its people.
Los Angeles, city of angels, tinsel town of movie stars, has in 2 terrible days lost its glitter. Its challenge now is to try to rebuild its dreams. Kevin Dunn, ITN, Los Angeles.
As we reported, the rioting has spread across America. More on that in a moment. Plus, missing father and daughter, man charged with kidnap. Soldier killed by IRA bomb died a hero. And the underdogs prepare for the big match at Wembley. President Bush will make a live nationwide address on American television this evening. He met black leaders at the White House today to discuss ways of ending the unrest as the rioting spread across America.
A curfew and hundreds of arrests in San Francisco overnight as anger at the Rodney King verdict spilled onto the streets. And that's the people shouting at each other. A state of emergency was declared as shops were looted and motorists attacked. Scenes repeated across the country. Chanting the name of the beaten motorist Rodney King, crowds in Atlanta rampaged through the city centre. Here and in Las Vegas, more than 50 were injured. Police stations firebombed and passers-by attacked. There were demonstrations in most cities, sporadic trouble in Dallas, Minneapolis, Cleveland, Charleston. Even America's small cities were hit. The windows of 36 police cars smashed in Madison, Wisconsin.
Mob brutality, the total loss of respect for human life, was sickeningly sad.
This morning, to back up the National Guard in Los Angeles, the president ordered in 1,000 extra riot police and 4,000 troops.
The U.S. Army will move approximately 4,000 troops from Fort Ord, California, to a staging area in Los Angeles where they can be utilized quickly and effectively if necessary.
Leaders of the black community then met the president and urged him to reopen the King case.
Unless we deal with this issue, America's in for a long, hot, not summer, but a long, hot number of years ahead.
Across the country, they've watched the violence in horror. Policemen worried at the long-term effect of the King verdict.
This is going to set back law enforcement at least 50 years.
The protests have come from black and white Americans. Most of the dead are young blacks. Anarchy, says the president, that can't be allowed to continue. The political stakes for the president are high. With more than 30 dead and thousands injured and arrested, he's gambling that troops, curfews and reason can put a lid on America's worst riots in decades. Bill Neely, ITN, Washington.
Back now to Los Angeles. Kevin, how are President Bush's proposals going down there?
Well, Los Angeles is this morning, John, a city in a state of aftershock. There are not as many people out on the streets as one would expect, but the people that I've spoken to would welcome any help that they can get. Thousands of police and thousands of National Guardsmen have been brought in. It hasn't helped, so the promise of extra troops will certainly go down well with the vast majority of people who've seen their homes and their shops and their neighborhoods looted.
Kevin, what's the latest on the riots?
Well, this morning it's fairly calm. There is still smoke hanging over the city behind me. You might be able to see along Sunset Boulevard. There is still smoke over the city. No major outbreaks of rioting we've heard so far. But as we've been speaking, the sirens have been going up around me again this morning, helicopters overhead, and it could be that we're in for another hot day in Los Angeles.
Kevin Dunn, thank you. A 24-year-old man has appeared in court charged with kidnapping the missing bank clerk Alison Manwaring and her father Matthew. Benjamin Lang is also charged with theft and deception. The couple are still missing more than a week after they disappeared from their home in Essex.
Benjamin Lang, who's 24 years old, was brought to Barking magistrates from Dagenham police station. Benjamin Lang answered 3 questions from the clerk of the court to confirm his name, age and address. He then sat and listened as the prosecutor, Mr. Dermot Dawley, outlined the background to his arrest. At one point he shouted out, "You're a liar, you know that." He faces 2 charges of kidnapping, one of the theft of a Nationwide Building Society passbook and one of attempting by deception to obtain £200 in cash from the Nationwide Building Society. Police today revealed a letter claiming to be from Alison Manwaring and her father. They made one paragraph public.
I can't tell you where we are yet, but we are in London still. I swear to you we are okay.
The letter said the couple had run away because of personal problems and they were not being held against their will. 3 men are still on bail in connection with this case. Anne Lucas, ITN, Essex.
And can you tell us more about that letter?
Yes, indeed, John. It's very mysterious. It was delivered by the postman, but the stamp had not been franked, so there were no clues there as to when or where it was posted. Police are sure it was not composed by Alison. For one thing, it was typewritten, and her friends say she'd recently taken up calligraphy and in fact made quite an art of writing letters. She enjoyed writing letters. And from talking to friends and her brother Mark, the police feel the phrases in this letter are not at all those typical of Alison, so they feel it's all an attempt to mislead them.
Now, a man has been charged. Are the police looking for anybody else?
They are indeed. Charging one man in no way means the end of the inquiry. They are looking for several other men. And of course, while there's no news of the whereabouts of Matthew and Alison Manwaring, the police hunt continues at full strength.
And thank you. A soldier murdered by the IRA at a border checkpoint near Newry today died a hero. Private Andrew Grundy was killed as he warned other troops and police to dive for cover. He was the first soldier to be killed in Northern Ireland this year.
The audacity of the IRA bombing team was evident. Under the checkpoint watchtower, they loaded a £1,000 device onto a railway wagon. using a hijacked digger. It was rolled down the Dublin-Belfast track before exploding beside the road checkpoint. The 22-year-old Fusilier died, according to the security forces, warning his colleagues of the impending blast. The new Northern Ireland Security Minister Michael Mates, visiting the scene, said a security review would take place.
It was an extremely large bomb on the railway line, aimed simply to kill and to damage. Not targeted at anyone in particular, but anyone who happened to be there.
18 months ago, another soldier was killed by a so-called human bomb here. Overall, nearly 30 people have died on this stretch known locally as Murder Mile, which has raised doubts about the validity of permanent checkpoints. Meanwhile, in Belfast, the funeral took place for Catholic Philomena Hanna, murdered by loyalist gunmen on Tuesday. Her burial was attended by many Protestants too.
The decent Protestant people of Woodville have nothing to do with this and want nothing to do with this.
For her young daughter, there was some comfort, but the family's grief is made more painful by the futility of her death. Eric McInnes, ITN, Northern Ireland.
A teenager has appeared in court charged with the murder of 15-year-old Johnny Pickering, the schoolboy who died after suffering severe burns in a Derbyshire playground. Magistrates heard that 18-year-old Shane Goostrey was a friend of the victim and hadn't meant to hurt him.
Shane Goostrey, who turned 18 4 days ago, arrived at Chesterfield Magistrates Court after a night in police cells. He was led inside to face a charge of murdering Johnny Pickering in the grounds of Dainsmore School at Clay Cross. In court, reporting restrictions were lifted. Philip Law, representing Goostrey, said his client was a good friend of the deceased. He bore him no malice or ill will. He tried to put out the flames while others ran away, and he deeply regrets the death of his friend. Johnny Pickering died from extensive burns when his petrol-soaked clothes caught fire. He'd been at the school close to his home with a group of friends. He'd been sniffing petrol. It's the second tragedy for his family. Last year, his sister committed suicide. Goostrey, whose family wept as the murder charge was read, was remanded in custody for 7 days. Anya Sitharam, ITN, Chesterfield.
British Coal said today it's to close Markham Main colliery in Yorkshire with the loss of 730 jobs. Arthur Scargill, leader of the National Union of Mine Workers, called for a national miners' strike if the closure went ahead. Sports news. Thousands of rugby league fans have begun to arrive in London for tomorrow's Challenge Cup final at Wembley. Wigan are the favourites. It's their 5th final in a row. But the underdogs Castleford have their supporters too.
It's 6 years since the side known as Classy Cass last stepped out at Wembley Stadium for the Challenge Cup final. More familiar territory is their ground 200 miles away in West Yorkshire.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
At the squad's last training session, the preparations are as much psychological as physical. Everyone's been telling them that they have little chance of overcoming mighty Wigan.
Man for man, I think we've got just as good a players as what Wigan have got. And, you know, we'll prove that to the public of Great Britain on Saturday.
Great things are expected tomorrow, but some sages remember even better Castleford teams.
Well, it's not as good as a 69-70 side, I don't think, but we'll give a good account. It won't be a runaway Bradford Northern job.
Castleford's a family club, where policemen are better employed helping to load the team's coach, and where fans start early.
Yes, you were born on semi-final day, an hour before kick-off.
The town too is enjoying tasting the team's success, and if Cass wins, they'll return on Sunday to a hero's welcome, emulating Leeds' football triumph and so making a Yorkshire double whammy. Jim Buchanan, ITN, Castleford.
Dave Stringer, Norwich City's most successful manager ever, has resigned so he can join the club's board. He said he had passed his sell-by date. And the Indian Test star Sachin Tendulkar had a disappointing first innings for Yorkshire today. He was run out against Kent at Headingley for 7. A reminder of the latest on America's riots. President Bush has ordered 4,000 federal troops into Los Angeles after another night of violence and looting. 31 people are now dead, more than 1,200 are injured, and the rioting has spread across America. Curfews are in force in San Francisco, Las Vegas and Atlanta. President Bush will make a live nationwide address on television this evening. That's the early evening news until 5:40 on Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Hello, good evening. As we go into Bank Holiday weekend, the message being don't go too far without a brolly. That's because we're due for a showery day tomorrow, then Sunday and Monday that rain will sweep southwards from the northwest. Our wind flow picture indeed shows cold northwesterly winds sweeping down across the country, and then a brief respite before the next high comes along. Unfortunately, it'll be when most of us are indoors late tomorrow night, and that's before the arrival of the next frontal system on the scene, meaning even more rain, perfectly timed for the Bank Holiday weekend. First there's tonight, and today's showers become largely confined to northern as well as eastern coasts, and indeed we see more prolonged rain in the north and east of Scotland. Temperatures tonight are fairly chilly. We could even see touches of ground frost in the sheltered south. You'd be well advised to protect any delicate bedding plants. So as we go into tomorrow, we do so with a bit of a west-east split, the heaviest and more prolonged showers spilling down the eastern side of the country, and the best of the sunshine out to the west. Now, as the afternoon wears on, well, these showers should gradually peter out, and the west ends the day on a fairly dry and bright note. Already, though, we see the first signs of that cloud beginning to pile up in Northern Ireland. So these are the temperatures we can expect tomorrow. Anything from round about 10 to 13 or 14 at their best in those sheltered spots. A very quick look ahead now at the way we expect the weather to work out for the bank holiday. Sunday gets off to a dry start in most places, but that rain in the northwest, well, that pushes southwards and eastwards, although not getting into the far southeast until the end of the day. On Bank Holiday Monday, rain and cloud in the north and west, and drier and brighter for central and eastern areas by the end of the afternoon. At least we can console ourselves with air quality. It's looking good.